What's up, guys? It's Colin, and today I will be going over my decks that I used in Kyber Cup. I placed second in the tournament out of 50-something players who signed up, and I believe in total 30-something played. In the round-robin stages, I seeded fourth in the bracket. I ended up losing to Clunner. He is an amazing player, especially the way he plays Vader. It was basically impossible for me to beat. But I'm going to show you the decks that I used throughout the tournament, both in the bracket and the round-robin stages. So I'll start off with my Phasma deck. This is my main deck that I use to ladder. As you can see here, I'm laddering with it. It's my bread and butter. This is my go-to deck that I use whenever shit gets serious, to say the least. So I'm using Phasma because Phasma is my favorite leader to play as. She's an incredibly solid leader. Great DPS, great health, great stats. The only drawback is her movement speed and relative bugginess. But since the patch that came out a couple days ago, or actually yesterday, I haven't really noticed the bugs that have been plaguing her since she's been released. So I'm hoping that they got fixed and they just didn't say anything about it. But Terex is probably one of the strongest uniques in the game. In my opinion, he's top 3 right after... Well, he's top 5. In my opinion, I place him at 3 after Kylo's Rage and Rose. But he permastuns anything you place him on that's within his melee range. For example, if the leader is on your side of the field and you place him next to it, he will permastun that leader and they cannot escape. The same goes for any unit on the field until either Terex dies or that unit that he is locked onto dies. I'm using Bomber because it's the best dark side clear in the game, in my opinion, and it also scales incredibly well in friendlies because of equalized card levels. I'm also using Stun because it allows me to take out high priority targets much easier, as well as prevent leaders from escaping when I go to assassinate them with Phasma's skill. Although I will say this, I used Dioxys when I was facing Alicia. In round 1, she was using Padme, and Stun, I don't want to say it's useless against Padme, but it really doesn't get as much value as Dioxys does, just because of the nature of Padme, how she splits into 2 and has Typho. You get incredible value for 2 energy, so that's why I switched to Dioxys versus Padme. I also used it a couple times in the round-robin stages. Just overall, Dioxys is great versus Padme and Swarmy decks, but Stun is better against everything else. Spider is here because it's the best dark side bullet sponge, in my opinion, because it has a lot of HP, moves relatively slow, so you can slow play it, and it spawns a little mini spiders, which are great for distracting single target attackers. Excuse me. And then I have First Order Stormies here. They are the best dark side card in the game, in my opinion. If you get a leader kill and you place these down on a lane, you are guaranteed half a tower, if not more. Usually it's more. Whenever they're on the field, they require an immediate answer because otherwise their DPS will basically take out pretty much anything. So they get AoE'd very quickly. Like, every time I would play them, especially against Logics, they get AoE'd basically immediately. So I like to save them for after a leader kill, but you can use them on the field if you know that your opponent has already used his AoE card. And then the next card is the Riot Control Stormtroopers, because for 2 energy, they move relatively fast, and they have really good health, and they're very good for just charging into the enemy's tower range, so I can either poke the tower or poke the leader. And there's no real energy cost to it because of how cheap they are. And they're also great for ATRT defense. If you place down riots, the way I sorry, the way I defend against ATRTs is I will always tank the first shot. I'll place down Riots, back out, let Riots tank, and then place down B1s. Assuming nothing gets AoE'd, which usually it does, but if not, it's a negative energy trade for the opponent usually. You can take care of ATRTs very easily. And B1s are also really good for defense because of their insane DPS value. The only way to really clear them out on defense is to use an AoE card, and that always nets you a +1 energy gain unless you're using Poe. So that's why I use those. Every once in a while, if I'm laddering and I want to just like mess around or whatever, I'll put in Heavy Gunners or Death Troopers or something, but in my opinion, B2s are an incredible card. So that's my Phasma deck. Here's the Maul deck that I used. I had a lot more success in it with the round robin stages compared to the actual bracket. Basically, the idea behind this deck was to place down Maul's unique, rush in with a couple units, poke the tower, back out, and then keep doing that throughout the entire game because of Maul's passive. I'm using Bomber and Spider for reasons aforementioned, as well as First Order Stormies. I'm using Dioxys because it can chip down leaders, and that in combination with Maul's skill allows you to basically snipe leaders, because Maul's skill has a pretty incredible range, especially for a melee hero. I'm using Death Troopers because they move fast, and for 3 cost, especially in equalized card levels, they can get good damage on the tower, and if you can place down something to tank for them, they will go to ham on whatever they're shooting because of their insane DPS. And then First Order Riots to rush in on the tower. They can get kited relatively easy because of how fast they move, but as long as you can keep them in tower range, they are incredibly tanky and allow you to do whatever it is you need to do on your opponent's side of the map. Also, if you get a leader kill and you place these in a lane, they can take down about half a tower without much issue. So that's it for the dark side decks. I didn't use anything other than these 2 decks. So on to light side, this is what I was using. When I faced Alicia and Logix in rounds 1 and 2, I was using Grenadier, but I ended up switching that to Arc Trooper because Kleiner uses an ATST Vader deck, and I tried to counter deck him a little bit. It didn't end up working because I lost all 3 times I ended up facing his Vader. But the general idea behind it was to support a Bantha push, as well, while also having defensive options. That's why Honor Guards are here, because they're very good on defense, because they have good DPS on a single target. They're good for taking out ATSTs, Spiders, First Order Riots, what have you. I'm running 2 AoEs because Darkside likes to spam a lot of units, First Order Stormers, B1 Battle Droids, and then T-70 also takes out the heavy stuff like B2s, Spider, Sentry, all that, Dwarf, all those heavy Separatist units. And then I'm using Rebel Troopers and Clone Troopers for that fast counter push value, whereas like I can start the game, place these down, and go poke the tower immediately. Or if I get a leader kill, I can place these down for only 5 energy, and then get a lot of damage on the tower because of how fast they shoot and how fast they move. Like I said, Bantha was there to like be the main push. It always goes after the tower unless they're using turret, and it's incredibly tanky in equalized card levels because Epic scale amazingly well. And then that was the only deck that I actually ended up using in the bracket stages, because I didn't have Finn unlocked on the account I was using. I actually lost my account for 5 days. Long story short, I had a bug in it where I couldn't play in any friendly matches, so I tried to reinstall the game to see if that would fix it, and my account wasn't linked. So I ended up using an alt that didn't have Finn. But anyways, Finn and Rose form a nice 1-2 punch, especially with Tech on the field. Rose buffs Tech, ATRTs, and Gonk. They get basically 33% more HP when Rose is on the field. And then I'm running Double Clear for this deck as well for reasons already mentioned, and then of course clones and rebel troopers for their ability to poke. The general idea behind this deck is to, like, have Gonk take for stuff and then, overwhelm your opponent with Bros buffed ATRTs. It ended up working decently well in the round robin stages, except for when I faced Maul and I kept getting overwhelmed by those ATST Mauls. There's not much Finn can really do against Maul, but if your opponent isn't using Maul, generally speaking, he does really well. I honestly believe Finn, 40th Luke, and Maul are all overpowered characters. Phasma is the only one that's actually balanced, in my opinion. Although some people argue that Terex is broken, but to me personally, what he does compared to what other leaders can do doesn't exactly compare. But yeah, those are the decks. I had a Padme deck that I used once or twice, but it was alright. It wasn't really anything special. It was Padme with Bantha, and then just a bunch of, like, cheap cards like Swarm. I got like a 1 or 2 with it, but that was about it. Hope you guys enjoyed a little insight into what I used for Kyber Cup. If you want to see more videos, let me know down below. My next video is probably going to be a Snoke video once I learn how to play him better. He seems like he has the potential to be very good. It's just I need to learn how to use him before I'm comfortable making a video, because I don't want to show you guys Snoke and then me not know how to use him and then you guys think he sucks or whatever. So that'll probably come within the next week or so. Until then, take care, guys. I'll see you later. Peace.